Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being on the Gstaad Guy podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
Wisdom Kaye, Wiz, king of fashion online. The most amazing content I've seen in a long time in the fashion category. I consider you a trendsetter, a content creator, but also a historian. I think you are showing people the history of fashion in a really fun and creative way. You're also making it aspirational. You're making it entertaining. And it's great to be talking to you and sitting with you here today.
Wow, thank you. I need that on my, like when you type my name in on Google, that's, you get that writing and put it on there.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. You know, when I meet people and have the pleasure of meeting people who follow me, they usually have the same few lines. And it's like, oh my God, you smile, you don't frown in real life first. And then they say, I didn't realize you were so tall. And I'm like, yeah, I'm tall. The camera doesn't show it. And that's exactly what I said to you when I met you.
Yeah.
I was like, I used my own line on you. I was like, I didn't realize you were so tall. It doesn't show in your videos at all.
At all. That's like one of the, on top of people, there's certain questions that I get asked so often. Like I'll just look at my notifications and I'll just see them. And that is one of the most frequently asked questions is, or like, how tall are you? Like, and it's usually whenever like I post a video with something to scale, like I'm around other people or I'm in a whatever, because for the most part, people really can't tell. So when I see people in person, I get that all the time. And like, I can't combat it. I'm just gonna have to be short online for millions of people because I don't, unless I guess start making my videos in a way where you can tell, but it's not that important. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's 6'4".
You're tall. I mean, I also want to acknowledge your outfit. I'm sure everyone's already looking at it in the videos.
Thank you.
Really cool outfit, really cool jacket.
Thank you so much.
Where's the jacket from?
This is oh my God. They make all the beautiful leather work.
Berluti?
Berluti. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Thank you so much.
It looks like Berluti.
Yeah, Berluti jacket. One of my favorites.
I love it. The chairman of Berluti is also the chairman of Loro Piana.
Will you look at that? Chairman. The two of us, we need to do a little collaboration.
Antoine Arnaud. Again.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Around the world with your host, the Gstaad Guy. We welcome you back to the Gstaad Guy podcast, sharing stories of excellence with those in the know for those who just know.
Well, thank you so much for being here. How's your day going so far? How's your week?
Day started. It's been good. Week has been busy. I literally woke up, filmed a few things, edited a few things, and now I'm here. So I tend to kind of start my days and like, I don't really have a routine. So it very much is like get up and go. I'm trying to get a routine though. It's important for, mental health and things like that. But yeah.
That's great. And what did you film today, if you don't mind sharing?
I filmed I'll keep it under wraps for now. I mean, you'll see it. I'm gonna, so like I haven't posted anything in a while because I've been traveling so much. This like year's been crazy. But there's a few blocks of content that I'm working on, 3 projects. I don't want to give everything.
Okay, don't give it all away. Don't give it all away.
I'm a very IRL individual, as online as that phrasing is. I really am like in person, no camera, whatever. So like it's weird. I battle that side of me whenever it comes to doing like stuff on the internet, which is like, because for example, like I'm not very personal online. Like I'm still very like, this is my content and then my life is over here.
Exactly.
Because I don't know. I was kind of raised not to be like that. I was genuinely like, I was actually raised to be very like, just don't be online. Don't tell people things about yourself and whatever. And it's still kind of, I think it's still stuck with me till today, but I'm trying harder to be more open and more of myself because it is important ultimately,
I mean, I think people wish for what you have. People wish for privacy. Yeah. People really want to separate work from life because some people overexpose and you can't go back. No. So you're actually, I think, in a great position.
No, I love it because I've recognized that like as frequent as it is being like recognized outside or approached or stared, all this stuff that comes with it, I know that the magnitude of which it could be is nowhere near some, my peers or like some of the other like really big creators and stuff on the internet. And I am very thankful for it while simultaneously I'm trying to always keep growing. I know that's just, what comes with it as a result, but I don't know, it's so I don't know. It's so interesting. Like in my mind, I really would love to keep the digital side digital, and then I just go about my day as Wiz, not Wisdom, the fashion, whatever, when I'm out. But it's impossible. You know, you can't really.
I mean, listen, you've pulled it off. I don't want to just gas you up, but I think you've done a good job, and you can keep doing it. Like I think you have this delicate balance. I wouldn't say it's as aggressive of a contrast as mine. Like Gstaad Guy and me in real life is like super super polar.
Yeah.
But I think Wiz and Wisdom are also like very different, and that's good. It's healthy.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what is it like for you? That do people approach you with an energy that's so not you, or?
Yeah, often yes.
Yeah.
Especially at night.
Oh yeah.
You know, you go out, people are drinking.
Yeah.
And I have all this energy online, and I play these characters. People expect me to be similar in real life, so they put all this energy out, and they realize I actually am a bit more reserved, or a bit more quiet.
Yeah.
And they like, oh, they kind of get.
Yeah. No, it's dude.
Social,
it's
you know?
such it's so interesting because like, you know, I think to myself all the time. It's like, and I can't remember who I heard say this. Somebody said something about, you know, when you make content, when you're an influencer, when you're a content creator, whatever it is, you don't really get to necessarily like clock out of work, if that makes sense, because you're still always going to be you to somebody else, right? And it was so funny. I was trying to think of a way I could explain it the other day, and I was like, I came up with this analogy, and it might be grossly inaccurate, but to me, it's kind of like, imagine, let's say you worked at a coffee shop, and you know, 8 hours a day, you're taking orders, making coffee, whatever, and then like you clock out. You don't have to make coffees anymore, but you still have to take orders. So like you could be leaving work, and somebody will stop you, hey, can I put this order in? And then you still have to tell somebody, hey, somebody just ordered whatever. So you could be at home and somebody could text you an order, or you're out about the day on your day off and somebody's texting you or like coming up to you like, can I order this? You don't have to make the coffee, but you still have to take the orders. It's kind of like the best way I could sort of explain it, because it's like, you know, in the real world, yeah, I'm not online anymore. I'm not making video. I'm not whatever, but I still have to be that person that people know me as online. Because like, I don't see myself as this. People see me as like some fashion god. I'm like, yo, bro, I'm out here. I'm just good about my day. I like, you know, to dress a certain way, but ultimately it's like, I know that I don't see myself the way people see me, which is what makes it so conflicting sometimes when I'm, you know, approached often, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, I try my hardest though to be, you know, oh yeah, let's take a photo, let's do whatever. But sometimes it's so like, you don't want to be seen.
The way you say that you don't see yourself the way others see you is actually a pretty good sign, because I've heard people say that the second the artist really loves their own work, they're actually not doing that great anymore. So the fact that you think that people are seeing you in a way beyond how you see yourself is actually quite healthy of a good artist. So
yeah, I can understand that for sure. I think, you know, there's a certain level of hubris that one could take on that I think can actually sort of deter you from actually like putting your best foot forward, or really curating your craft in the way you should be, right? Like if you build up this ego in your head of like, this is who I am because people say this, then I feel like it could lead down a path where you're less likely to kind of actually focus on what it is that you do and what the craft is and what the passion is, and just maybe, I don't know, put out schlop because it's like people are going to eat it up anyway. So I can see how that makes a lot of sense though. Yeah.
I mean, you've captured a very unique corner of social media and of fashion, and after meeting you a few times and hanging out with you a couple of times in events around the world, I see that seems highly strategic to me. And it doesn't seem like anything accidental. You seem incredibly hardworking and calculated. And you've been doing this for a while. So if you don't mind sharing, I'd love to hear about where that inspiration came from and what your journey with this has been.
Yeah. I mean, I think, to be honest, it kind of starts with my discovery of like fashion and style in the first place. Like, to be honest, I always had a bit of an interest in it, but how it ended up impacting my life was I moved around a lot growing up. And as a result, I found that leaning into the trends, you know, the fashion trends, was honestly one of the easiest ways to make friends, fit in, not stand out. You know, I was always the new kid. I moved around so many times in my life. And then obviously being tall, you stand out. There's no way to really like blend in a lot when you're like this massive guy that just walked into the room, you know about that. And so it made it a bit of a thing where I was like, okay, what can I do to stop being, you know, so you know, just standing out so much. And I started getting into fashion a little bit, but it wasn't to stand out. It was to blend in, actually. So it was the opposite of kind of what I do now, to just sort of fit the norms, fit what the guys were wearing, things like that. I mean, at the time it was like, Obey, Supreme, very hype beast, things like that. And as I got older, I want to say like once I went off to college, I started discovering my love for vintage. And there was a few vintage stores nearby the campus, so I would just go there. And like at the time, I'm a college kid. The only money I have is the money that my mom gave me for like, emergencies or whatever. So, I didn't have a job or anything. So I kind of had to figure out a way to get clothes because I was like really into this vintage stuff. And vintage now is expensive. Like secondhand clothing, it's not, as affordable as it once was. And even then when I was in college, same thing. So I used to like buy the cheapest things I could buy. And it wasn't like a buy and resell thing. It was like I would buy it, I would put it on my like Snapchat story for the same price I bought it for, and I would do a bidding system.
Wow.
So whenever people wanted to buy it, they'd be like, okay, can I bid 5? I'm like, yeah. Somebody else would be like, can I bid 10? I'd be like, yeah. Then I tell the other person, somebody just bid 10. They'd be like, okay, let me do 15. I'm like, boom. A third person comes in, can I do 5 on this? Nope, we're currently at 15. Can I do 20? Okay, yeah, 20. I told the other 2 people it's at 20. They're like, okay, let me do 30. 30. Somebody drops out, another person comes in. I would keep track of it on a dry erase board. At the end of the day,
All on Snapchat.
By the end of the day, I would sell a $5 shirt for like $40. Not even joking about, like insane margins. So that's how I was like making my own money at the beginning to then buy clothes, vintage clothes, things like that.
This was how long ago?
This is like 4-ish, 5 years ago. And so more four for sure. And so basically that's what I was using to buy the clothes that I actually wanted. I used to go around my dorm and I would ask all my friends, like, do you have anything you don't want? Anything, I could sell your stuff for you, blah, blah, blah. And so I was basically doing whatever I could to, get funds, buying clothes. And then again, it was all just my personal self, just for my own style, not even really into fashion yet, the history, the whatever. And then one of my friends was like, oh, you should make videos online. You should post your stuff. And I was like, where? At this point, I'd only been on Instagram. I did not know what TikTok even was. I mean, I kind of did, but I wasn't using it. And so I was like, okay, let me look at what TikTok is. And genuinely speaking, the only thing I'd ever seen from TikTok at this point was furry videos. It was just videos of furries that were reposted onto like Instagram.
What are furries?
It's furries are like this basically people get in these giant costumes of like not like hyper realistic fur animals. I'm not entirely sure
what side of TikTok are you on?
No, I never saw furries. Furries are huge. Furries are actually, there's a big community of furries. And look, all respect to furries for real. That's like a huge thing.
Okay.
And I also found out like to be a furry, it's expensive. Like those things are, it's no joke. People are dedicated to their craft. Okay. And I can respect that. But I didn't know. I didn't know what furries were. That wasn't my community, my niche. So it didn't really seem like an app. That was all I saw. That and like teenage girls dancing, teenage boys dancing, teenage people dancing. Like it didn't seem like an app for me to post my videos on. So I didn't do it for a long time. Then ultimately I just put it on like Twitter, Instagram, started blowing up pretty quickly. It was just like every day after class, I would my friends would record what I wore to class or whatever. And then I just put it together at the end of the week, posted it. Really immediately started blowing up. And then I just did that again around this time COVID hit. And then, so we all had to go back home. Our school was like, we didn't even know when you guys are going to be back. So everything, was online. And so I just used that time to just make more videos. And during that time is when I started to actually look into fashion as an industry and as a whole and designers and things like that. I think the first designer who I kind of fell in love with their work and started implementing their stuff into what I do was Eddie Slimane, his stuff at YSL, Dior. And then from there, just expanded. And so pretty much now what I do is my mentality and my content has shifted a lot. So what I mainly focus on now is, like you touched on, really, it is a bit more aspirational in the sense of like, I want my content to wow people. I want people to be excited. I want people to be like, this is really cool. I want to take different worlds that you wouldn't really think fashion and bring them into fashion and find ways to explore what this world is, what these characters are, what this theme is, what this concept is in a way that involves clothing. As I've been doing it longer and longer, I'm really trying to get as detailed on it as I could. Like before in the past, it was just like, Spider-Man inspired outfit. I was just writing red and blue. But now it's like, not particularly with Spider-Man, but now with anything, like with, I did a fonts thing, for example.
It's so like, good.
Thank you.
I think my comment on that got like 10,000 likes.
Oh, yeah.
We'll fact check it, but I've never had more notifications about a comment in my life. The engagement on that video is crazy.
Yeah. I think it's one of my highest performing videos. I think that one and there's something else. But yeah, that video did a lot better than I thought. I'll say that. I didn't think anybody would care about typography because I'm actually kind of into it. But yeah, like even with that, it's kind of like, all right, well, you know, what's the history of this typeface? Like, you know, what are the characteristics of the font, serif, whatever? Like, how does it? Things like that are like I look into that now. Yeah, I did like an arcane thing, like understanding the characters or any project. Like people already know this. I want to work on like there's a. Actually, I'm not gonna say it, but basically, like just doing more research and really trying to make like the best work I can in terms of like you know, styling things and then also the video side of everything as well. So that's like the main thing, just to really make like just to bring worlds together and make something new.
I love that you talk about the research element as well, because when you watch your videos, you can immediately tell the homework's been done. Like, this is not opening the closet, taking random things and doing some haul or unboxing. You're really thinking about the storytelling, the execution, the cultural fit. And although a lot of your content is highly aspirational because the prices of a lot of these outfits are prohibitive, or even just the access to them, you have some pieces that no matter the budget, people just can't buy either. I realize that when that is the case, you use history or storytelling to let people engage and get a sense of learning out of it. But you also do this thing where you show a similar outfit that's very accessible in price. You say like comparing $100,000 outfit to $100 outfit or crazy things like that. When did you start showing both sides of the coin as well?
Oh, from the beginning, to be honest. I mean, the funny thing about it is that like one of my sort of philosophies when I make content is actually, it's so funny. It's kind of similar to, I think it was Verjablo's, I think 3% rule or something. I think it was 3%, where it's like, I've been doing the same videos, certain kinds of videos I've been doing for like years now, but I just tweaked them each time. So like with that one, I mean, I've been doing that since I started. It's just that the numbers just keep growing and getting smaller at the same time. So it's just, I've always tried to make sure that the content I do, there's different variations of it and there's different kinds. So like right now, I would say of the videos I make, there's probably like you had mentioned, there's the, you know, showing an expensive or a more affordable outfit. There's like, sometimes I will do like, maybe like an unboxing, a certain kind. I could do like styling certain things. Like there's maybe like 3, 4, or 5 different kinds of videos I do. And it's just a matter of like changing them. But I've always done that because for me, it's like, I mean, I didn't start off with money. Like I didn't start off with a lot of money. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, what I started off with was just like buying, selling clothes to, you know, get the things that I actually wanted to wear. And that's what's helped me out. So it's always been a thing with me where it's like at the beginning, it was very difficult for me to make the expensive outfit because people would be like, oh, make a $1,000 outfit and one that's $20. I was like, oh, I can make a $20 outfit right now, but $1,000, like that's kind of crazy. It's kind of flipped now to where it's like, it's a lot easier for me to make the $100K outfit, a lot harder to make the, you know, the $20 outfit because I mean, to buy an entire outfit for $20, first of all, is actually, it's actually a lot harder than I think people realize. It's possible for sure. But obviously the main thing as well is to not just put anything together for any price. It's to show that like, you know, whatever the price range is at, you can look good because that's how I started. Like I didn't start off with the, you know, with a lot of money. And so for me, it's really important to send that message across because it is not only what I believe, but it's also important for people to know. Because there is this notion that you genuinely do need a lot of money to, you know, to put on a good outfit. And that's so far from the truth.
No, I also like that you take this path of like mixing old with the new with your outfits, because there's also a whole like thrift element and not encouraging people to just buy what's latest and greatest, but also to dig out things that already exist in your wardrobe, mix them together differently. You do these really creative videos where you mix and match just things from your closet to create something entirely new and different. Because most fashion content creators are encouraging like, and now buy this. But I've never seen you have that call to action. I've never seen you push the purchase.
And to be 100% honest, unless I'm getting paid to, I probably don't. Because it's not something I'm necessarily like, I mean, there is a lot of fashion content that is, you know, the get ready with me is the buy this is the current trend. And, you know, everything has its own place, right? But what I like to do is just, it's mainly to just show more of the capabilities of what we know we can do with clothes and what fashion is as a whole. Is to really just spread the message, let people be like, oh, as a guy, like I can wear this, or even as an enjoyer of this, I can dress this way, like whatever it is. It's because I don't get anything out of being like telling people these are the trends, you need to stay up on these trends. If anything, I don't even believe that anyways, because anything that is a trend was already trending, so it's just kind of like it's a cycle. So for me, it's like you might as well buy the vintage jacket that so and so fashion house is putting out today for $3,000 because there is that jacket at your local vintage store, thrift store, or whatever. That's the mentality I had when I was starting out, and although now I can indulge in buying that said $3,000 jacket, I still believe in that same thing. You know what I mean? Like I don't think you need to buy the whatever to work. Certain things are at certain prices for certain people. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a thing where it's like you have to look at this and be like, oh my God, why would they make it that expensive? Who would buy this? Like somebody can buy that. But that doesn't mean you need to be like, they're putting this out for me to spend $3,000 on. You know what I mean? Like, I think the more homework you do and the more understanding you have, you can look at that and be like, okay, I can understand that the material cost of this jacket is this much. And then, this jacket is made out of 30% this, 20% that, whatever this, the margins, the whatever. And, 1,000% of that cost is because this is by this so-and-so brand. That's why that's that expensive. However, I like that kind of jacket. Let me do some digging elsewhere and find something similar to it. I think that's how I did a lot of my stuff. And I think that's really how, that's a healthier way to kind of look at it,
Now looking in hindsight, because you have tremendous achievements, it seems like it was all part of the plan. But it rarely is for a lot of people who've achieved what you've achieved, especially in this pretty short period of time. Did you imagine yourself to be here or plan yourself to be doing what you're doing today?
Oh, no. Heck no. I was in college for mechanical engineering. And the only reason I was even there was because it was like I had no other option. Like I was being basically forced to do that. And so this was just like, it was just me kind of doing this thing that I like to do on the side. But I always say it was a perfect storm because I started doing it literally right before COVID. So once I got online and started getting on TikTok and social media, everyone was on their phones. And so it put a lot of eyes on me at that time. The funny thing about it is I signed to IMG, honestly, I want to say like IMG dubbed me like 5-6 months after I started really posting content, which is really quick.
It's quick. Yeah.
And when I asked like how I got discovered on like the first initial call I had with them, I was speaking with like so many people like at the New York office, Australia, UK. I was in Texas at the time. It was Isabel, and who works at she's at the Paris office. She said that she found my account because she was looking at a lot of the top creators and seeing who they followed, and she was like, they all seem to follow me, and that's so she like kind of looked at my stuff and whatever. So it was like a perfect storm, to be honest with you. And I just was like, okay, this is cool. People like this. I'm gonna keep making this, and let's just see where it goes. Couldn't have predicted it in my wildest dreams, like that it would end up being what it is today, like ever. And so it was a thing where along the way you kind of have to be like, okay, well, what can I make of this then? And strategize, plan. And in a way, I still don't know what's going on. I'm still planning and strategizing. I'm still trying to figure it out. Because
you're doing great with it.
Thank you.
I feel every day that I'm so blessed to be born in the time I was born and to have been able to use the tools that I have today. Because just 5 years earlier, if I tried to do Gstaad Guy and tried to do these things, the tools wouldn't be out there to create content this easily, to start businesses this easily. Like we have so many tools that are unique to this time period. And some other creators feel that in the other direction. They find that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they could actually hone in on a craft versus being a generalist in a lot of ways like we are, because we are part-time editors, part-time creators, part-time storytellers, and somehow that all comes together to make this new sort of thing. How important do you think timing has been for you?
Everything. I got to be so honest. I mean, it's funny. I want to say it was around, how old was I? I was 18 or 19 when I started. I was 19 when I started, I think. Yeah, got signed, whatever. The thing about it is that up until that point, I'd always been on like social media. I'd always been making, so at first, to be honest, the whole wisdom lore is like, the first thing I tried to do was be a professional beatboxer when I was like 15 or 16 years old. So serious. That was I discovered I could do that. I learned it. I did it like my whole life through my childhood. And I was like, wait, what if I went viral for this? I posted a video, went viral. I was like, and viral at the time was, I don't know, maybe like 24,000 likes on Twitter or something. You know, it wasn't like viral like the numbers are today. But for me, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. If I go, then each time I go, I can't do anything else. So I'd have to go,
Drop it like it's hot.
What? What? That's about it. That's all I got. I don't know, just various random stuff. I'm not gonna go too hard
It's
right now.
good. It's really good.
Thank
I'm really
you.
impressed.
Thank you. I hope it sounded good.
Beatboxing with Wiz.
Oh God. I remember there was this agency like reached out to license one of my videos. Probably a terrible deal, but I took it because I was like, oh my God, I'll get $200 for posting a video of me beatboxing. Heck yeah. My mom took all that money. But I remember at the time, I was like, this is incredible. But obviously, you know, you're a kid. That's not going to go anywhere. And then the next thing I tried to do was use my talent and appreciation for photography. So ultimately, like during this time, for me, the funny thing is I look back on it and it wasn't me like hustling, grinding, trying to make it. I was doing things I like to do. And so that's why I say like when I went off to college and whenever I give people like advice, people ask me, how do I do this? How do I do that? I always like to say like, you know, maybe you're working this job, maybe you're in school, do the thing that you have to do, but never give up on the thing that you want to do on the side, you know? So I would say that's basically what I was doing. And so essentially, you know, timing was really big because I had been working and practicing on something, you know, whether it was photography, whatever, videography. It just so ended up happening to be the fashion aspect came into my life and I utilized the photography, videography skills that I had. And along with the fact that social media now was changing, perfect storm. So, you know, a lot of that stuff was timing, you know, and it's interesting because you had that conversation today about like making content today versus 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. It's like content, especially like, let's say fashion content, for example, it's so saturated now, you know, so timing was important then because had I tried to make the content I do now, yeah, I'd probably still see some success, but nowhere near the amount. I got on at the time on TikTok. I don't want to say social media in general, but even that too, you can have an argument about where there wasn't a lot of male fashion creators. There were some for sure when I got on, 100%. But on TikTok at the time, it was maybe me and like 2 other dudes. And so we were like some of the earliest ones. And then in general on social media, there were like other guys. I think like Alex Costa was a guy who was doing fashion content. Vans in the Met Gala, Christian, my homeboy, he was doing fashion content at the time. So that was always still going on, but that was like YouTube. Mm-hmm. So social media short form, I was genuinely one of the first ones to actually get on there. Sure. And so it was a thing that helped me a lot because I was able to stand out in that particular niche. Had I tried doing it beforehand, I would have been too young to even, I was too young to really even know or care about fashion or whatever, but it still would have been a different atmosphere because again, that short form platform wasn't available then. It would have to been YouTube for me. And then even at that time, like, you know, I don't even know if I knew enough to make quality content on YouTube. So it is a really important thing to understand that timing is a big deal. So even if you make content today, don't think, oh, it's never going to go anywhere. You never know what could happen the way things change, you know, in the future. So, yeah.
I think that something you do uniquely in your content is you don't box yourself or your viewer in one gender group, style type, or body type, because you touch on so many different styles and shapes in the outfits you talk about and choose, which is super rare, especially with men's fashion. I think people are either very classic, like suit content, or very hype beasts and sneakerheads and everything. But people that transcend all categories and genders is very, very, very rare. I actually don't know anyone else. Is that a part of who you are off camera? Is that strategic? Or is that just a byproduct of your creativity?
I think I would generally say I just believe that, like, I wasn't raised in a way to see people in a very specific people in specific ways. What that means is that, like, I'm a very, like, that's who you are, that's cool. you have the freedoms to do what you please to do. That's kind of just my mentality on it. As a result, I don't really see, fashion, be it in the industry or in the content I make or any content, to have to be a thing that is tailored for a certain person, whether their race, gender, weight, height, whatever it is. Obviously, I am a specific race, gender, height, and weight. So my content and what I do is going to predominantly just work for me and what I do. So I have to go out of my way to try to also spread the message and send the message of like, hey, you can do this if you look like that, if you like this, wear that. It's something that I actually want to explore more now. I feel like it's more of a challenge to do that, and I want to explore it more now, like moving forward, like with the content that I make. But it's always been a thing where I try to make my content as inclusive as possible. Like I try to make content for the fashion expert, whether they've been in the industry, whether they are new, whether they just love clothes, they love specific designers, they love the craftsmanship, and the fashion novice who may just be getting into it, who's trying to discover their style. And even the person who doesn't even care about fashion, that's just like, oh, this is just a cool video.
My mom follows you.
No way.
Yeah.
Yo, shout out Mama Gstaad.
Exactly.
But you know what I mean? Like, I try to make it for everyone because that's just important. I mean, it's like, at the end of the day, it also makes people discover new things that, like new things they didn't think they would like before, or discover things like I do. Funny enough, I have had people tell me like, oh yeah, my mom follows you. And I'm always like, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I shout out to the older generation that enjoys my videos. I think that's one of the craziest things. Like I get people of like all ages that always blows my mind, like who will come up to me and be like, I'm sure you get the same thing too.
For sure. Yeah. It's my favorite thing. Like my favorite moments are when I meet families when they're all together. Yeah. And the young kids and the parents and even like the grandparents sometimes, they all tell me they love my videos, but for different reasons.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's kind of like Shrek. It's like you can watch Shrek with your family.
Exactly.
And you all laugh at different moments and different jokes.
Yeah.
And I love those, like just transcending age. And I think like what I see in your content is like the history element, the fashion element, the inclusive element just appeals to so many different types of people.
Yeah. Definitely a thing that is a result of some level of strategy, for sure. I deliberately do try to make my content diverse. I try to explore different topics. Stylistically, I do try to be as broad as I can be. But also that stems from my own personal interest. So it's a win-win. It's like I'm not like sacrificing anything to make my content. I genuinely want to do it, which is great because then I can put my best foot forward and make something that people love and I love. So it stems from what I actually enjoy, what I like, what I want to do. And people seem to also get a kick out of that too, which is pretty cool. It's a lot to do all the editing and stuff. And I mean, like, do you edit all your stuff yourself? Or?
No, I have colleagues now that help me with it.
Okay, that's so what I need to do. It's funny because I love it. I love doing it, but it's like so time consuming, as you know. It's like
hard. I think once you also have a method and a style that works for you, it's very hard to find people that can share that same style and alignment. Yeah. And the way I came to it is my editor and he started by replicating my videos and just copying my edits for a few months. Yeah. Like learn my way, and then we're in a place where he could actually take it and elevate beyond. Yeah. But it's a working relationship, It's a slow game.
No, yeah, I agree. I got my first editor like for YouTube content because I was like, dude, I can't do both. It's way too much. And it's great too because again, like we've put out a few videos, some vlogs, and like my longer video for this project I did earlier this year. And even for that one, it was like I did a little bit of it, like because it's so hard to take your paws off of things, but I did like kind of the exoskeleton, and then I was like, this is kind of the vibe, and then you go and do your magic. And so I felt like that was just a thing to sort of get, so he would have an understanding of kind of what I want to do, just like you said, it's a relationship. So now moving forward, we have a better understanding of stuff, and he's great. He gives me all sorts of ideas, and I mean, shout out Fuji. He gives me all sorts of ideas and stuff to do too, which is super cool. But
love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen you in different events around the world, one of which was the Business of Fashion Awards, where I fanboyed over Future.
Yeah, so did I won't lie.
We both fanboyed. I'm a huge Future fan.
Yeah.
But I've seen you in all these different rooms and these incredible events that we're both so grateful to be in, and that I feel like this out-of-body experience being there at times of, wow, I can't believe that my videos frowning as a joke led me here, and it's a crazy feeling. How do you feel when you're in those moments?
I would say to be honest, it's really daunting. I mean, do you ever feel like whenever you go into these rooms or whatever that like kind of out of place in a way ever?
I think early on I did.
Yeah.
And I think I'm fairly vocal about the way I'm feeling in certain moments. So like when I did feel that, I would ask the person on my left, like, do you feel this too, by the way? Hey, we just met, but did you feel that? And they would say yes. And then I realized that most people around me, especially people who were new to this, felt the same way. And there was a lot of people like us who were like second time this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that made me more comfortable knowing that we're all feeling it.
That's interesting. I definitely try to deploy the understanding of like that we are all people. We're all just doing this thing because, you know, this is just what we do. It doesn't help me as much because for example, like, especially in the beginning, I suffer with this a little bit less now, but in the beginning for sure, it was always a thing where I was always the youngest one in the room. It was like, I mean, starting off, you know, I'd be at this event, this after party, this whatever, and I'm this like 19-year-old kid and everyone is like 30, 40 years old, or I'm the 20-year-old kid, everybody, you know, and for me, it was like, I don't even know what to say to anyone. Like, I generally don't know what to, like, I have half the experience these people have. I just got somebody called me this the other day. I'm a disruptor. I come at the industry, if it's an industry thing or not. I mean, I come at what I do from a very different sort of angle. Because again, like content is one thing here, and the fashion industry is another thing here. They're still they're very different things that like, you know, I'm bridging a little bit, but it's one of those like kind of rickety bridges. You don't know you should step on it if it'll fall down to an endless abyss. But it's interesting because like, as I've been getting older and doing this, I still find myself to feel kind of that same way where it's like, it's less of like, I don't know what to say, but more of just like, I still don't know if I'm in the right room, you know, like, and at first it was mainly just because of my age. It still is to a degree, but as I'm getting older, it's kind of like, all right, like, you know, I'm 23 now, I'm 24 now, whatever. But now it's just the people I'm in the room with. I'm looking at people that I only saw on my TV screens or the movie screen, and I'm like, what am I doing sitting next to Timothy Chalamet at the Loewe show? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know, what do I say to Timmy T? Statistics, like I don't know what to tell him, or just whoever. Like I remember one time, I just not the name drop, just for an example. I was at this Burberry after party, and Jacob Elordi was there, and I hadn't really watched before. I just knew he was obviously he's a big actor, and he's tall. He's like he's in between us. He's like 6'5", 6'6", 6'5". So I was just like, and I was this was maybe like 3 years ago. So I was just like, oh hey, you're tall. That's genuinely what I said to him. He's like, yeah, you are too. And then I was like, how tall are you? And then he's like, and then we just had a conversation about our heights for a while. I was like, what's your name? I knew his name. And, you know, it's Jacob. And I'm like, oh, Wisdom. He probably does not remember this ever because it was like one night in London, like however long ago, which is a lot of interactions you have with people, funny enough.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he remembers.
We'll see. Yeah. I mean, I was, you know, we're both pretty tall dudes. And so like, if I'm ever able to like, find something like that, it's like great, like this person saw, I'll go up to them. But even that example is sometimes like as far as it gets. And I remember at the time it used to kind of bother me because I was like, okay, so what, like I just meet people and then chat and then I never see them again. And that mentality at the time was like, if I talk to somebody, I mean, something should come of it, right? And as I've been getting older, I mean, it actually didn't take me that long to realize this. I just realized that, like, not every interaction is supposed to be a thing. In my mind, I thought it had to be because, like, my agents would be like, oh, you're in the room with so-and-so. Say hi to them, work the room. So I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to shake this person's hand. I should get a contract immediately. But I realized very quickly, life and relationships don't work that way. Sometimes you meet somebody, you say hello, and that is what it is. Maybe you see them again. Maybe you share a flight with them, or you're at the same cafe, or you're just at another event with them. Because again, a lot of the stuff you see the same people at the same events. Yep. And then maybe it's the third or fourth time shaking their hand. It's like, what was your name again? Oh yeah, I like your shoes. What did you do with the thing? I saw you there. And then you have a conversation. Because that is sometimes just how it is. You know, it's not every single person you meet you can dive deep, get to know them, form a connection, or collaborate, or anything like that. Life is just meeting people, talking, you know, forming connections. And it's cool because that's the way I like to be. I am a natural person. So for me, it felt like I had to be unnatural. But yeah, so like nowadays I've calmed down and I've just kind of been like, I'm here for a reason. I may not know exactly what the reason is, but somebody was like, hey, get Wisdom in here. So I try to help that. I try to use that to help myself feel more like I belong. But it is hard because, again, like doing fashion industry things as somebody who makes content in their home, you know what I mean? Or even things like, you know, entertainment, you know, the Hollywood, whatever, when it's like I'm not doing the same things that other people are doing in the traditional sense, for sure.
Listen, I think the new entrance to any market and sector and industry forever have always gotten like the fingers pointed at them when they first come in, and then soon after they're admired. And a great example of that I see is 3 or 4 years ago, like TikTokers was like a slur. You know, people would be like, "Oh, the TikTokers are here."
I hated being called.
You know, like I can't believe they invited the TikTokers, right? But now it's just a way every single person with a message to share is sharing a message, right? It's not that label anymore. It's like, oh, he's a fashion content creator. He's a key opinion leader who happens to use TikTok. You know, it became secondary. And I don't know if Jacob or Timothy Chalamet or any of these people ask you questions about your career, but they will. If they haven't, I'm sure people of similar caliber have. So the tides do change, and they always have, you know, and it's I think that discomfort is so natural. What I'm very curious about is where you find the most comfort and excitement in your work between the field work at these events, which is so cool and exciting. And, you know, you see these people you've seen on big screens your whole life, but it is part of the job, versus creating content at home.
Yeah, it's such an interesting like dichotomy, honestly, because I, in the beginning, really almost had a level of disdain towards having to do the whole like navigating industry thing, because for me it was just like I just want to make videos. That was my main thing. Starting to realize, you know, obviously it was more important, so I started taking it more seriously. But even then, it was really hard, just because it wasn't something I like to do. Like I would, you know, especially when I started off, I would travel to these countries I've never been to, be at these places that, you know, people would kill to be in or whatever it is, and I would just kind of be there like, you know, not out of, definitely not out of ego, but just out of like, why not knowing why I should really care or what the big whoop is, you know what I mean? Because I'm not super into pop culture, so a lot of the times, like, you know, you could tell me I'm sitting next to whatever, and I would just be like, hey, you know, like just talk to them, like, you know, or be shy or whatever it is. So a lot of the navigational stuff, the industry stuff, all that was very like, I just didn't really understand. I didn't really care for it too much, to be honest, and I really should have earlier on. But, you know, you learn. Life is a learning thing. You learn and you understand why, blah, 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 blah. So nowadays, I try to make the most of it. So, you know, it also was in hand with traveling. So, for example, I would travel to a country. I would just stay in my hotel room, order room service, stay in my hotel room. My agents would have to get me out of there and be like, no, you have to go to the thing. Okay, fine, I'll go. Nowadays, it's like, okay, I'm going to travel somewhere. I want to find a new restaurant. I want to meet new people. I want to do this. So now it's like, I've had to get out of my shell. I was in a shell, in a simple way to describe it. And now I've had to break out of it to where I can actually like want to meet people, feel comfortable talking to people, stop putting myself in this box of like, oh, like, you know, you don't have what it takes to talk to so-and-so. So-and-so is an established and decorated, you know, actor for this many years. You know, we're all people. Let me just go talk to them. Maybe I'll make a friend, whatever. So a lot of it has been breaking out of my shell, and then in a sense confronting my own sort of weaknesses in that sense. And so I'm trying now to make it, it's getting fun. It's actually becoming a fun thing where it's like, I go to these events, and a lot of the times I've started to realize everyone kind of does have a mask on. I think there's that the Japanese saying that's like, everyone has 3 faces or 3 masks. The one that you show your family and friends, the one you have, and then the one you show other people. I might be butchering that, so if you're Japanese, please don't kill me. But it's something like that. And so like I genuinely was going into events where everybody has this mask that they show other people with my own mask, if that makes sense. With my true face I show myself, which I realized nobody does that. So it would kind of like, I think that's partially what made me feel out of place or feel lost. So now I'm starting to go into events not acting like I'm somebody else, but genuinely carrying myself in a very different way, where it's just kind of like, oh, hey, like almost like I kind of channeled Jeff Goldblum a little bit when I do it, to be completely honest. I think when we last saw each other, I wasn't doing it then.
No, you were just like normal.
Yeah, but now I do it because honestly,
see Jeff Goldblum. When do you do that?
I just like his personality. So
Fine.
like, oh, thank you. I'll just do stuff like
fine.
that, like, oh yeah, my name's Wisdom. Nice to meet you. Oh yeah, I like your sweater. I do stuff like that.
It's a character.
Because it's like it's a bit of a character, but it is also kind of who I am. It's just kind of like I'm bringing it out in a way, and because it's like, you know, it just helps me feel more confident. You know, to just sort of like, I don't have to be who I am in that moment. Like for example, like I may be at a thing, and this is genuinely my vibe, because I'm probably tired or I'm jet lagged or whatever. But I'm like, you know what? Let's make this fun. Oh. You're sitting next to me, huh? Yeah. Well, I got the best seat in the house. Some random I just make dad jokes sometimes, random quips, you know, makes people laugh. You make friends, and it's actually been working. Like, because it's just what I have to do. Everyone has their own thing. Some people drink before they get on stage. Some people do this, whatever they did in High School Musical. You know, they have their own routines or whatever.
The Sharpay,
exactly. You know, but my thing is to just sort of to just get myself out there, just sort of be a little bit more eccentric or whatever, which helps me and works for me. The thing is, though, nothing beats just making content. Nothing beats filming a video, spending 2-3 days editing, filming, whatever the case is. That's been the bread and butter to me. That's the thing I love. That's where my passion is, exploring different things, learning, growing, all that good stuff. It's a thing now where I do want to be a little bit more entrepreneurial, and as a result, I need more time. I know that like there's two sides of me that wants to do other things, that wants to build in different ways, but is going to find it very difficult to do with having to devote so much time into the content, because it literally is just me and that guy over there. That's literally it. It is just
he's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy. Yeah. That's Rich. It's been me for the longest, and then we started working with each other like I want to say a couple years ago. He helps me film a lot of my work, which is very helpful. But that's it. So it's a bit of that's where the fun is. It's difficult trying to change it up a little bit and making the most out of the industry things and all that good stuff.
I love that. Can you tell us more about your entrepreneurial desires and what excites you?
I mean, one of the things that I want to do from early on, and I think mainly because a lot of people also expected this from me, was to just have my own clothing line. I mean, that was like the first thing. I remember thinking, oh yeah, that could be cool. The reason why I never did it was because the first thing I struggled with was, do we need new clothes? That was the first question I asked myself, like, do I need to bring more clothes into the world? And very quickly I was like, no, I don't think I need to. On top of that, I didn't have a passion for it as well. The passion was for making the content. It wasn't really for having a brand, doing all that good stuff. And one thing that I have a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs who have businesses, clothing brands especially. One thing they that I've learned from them is that like having a brand, having a company, having whatever is like 80, 70, whatever percent things you don't really want to do, but things you have to do. And what I do now is like 90% things I want to do. So it's going to be a big shift anyways. Mm-hmm. But that was the first thing. As I got a bit older, I started realizing that kind of like, I mean, I understand wisdom that you were saying, do we need new clothes? But do we need new anything at the end of the day? Like that's, So it's something that I'm more open to now. But I really want to wait till the passion is there. I don't want to force anything. I definitely don't want to just put out like merch. Nothing wrong with putting out merch. For some people, it makes so much sense. Like if you're a conventionally attractive person who gets millions of views, yeah, put a shirt up with your face on it. The heck, like why not do that? But it doesn't feel like something I want to do. Doesn't feel right to me. So when I do it, I want to actually take my time. I want to make sure the passion is there, the desire is there. And I want to put things out in a way that makes sense. Like I don't want to drop a bunch. I don't want to put out a lot. I want to do it in a way where the pacing of everything feels right, the quality of everything feels right, all that good stuff. I still don't know exactly how yet or what. That's one of the things I want to do. There's other ideas that I'm teetering around with that involve just like more, less exciting stuff, more like businessy kind of ideas that I don't want to say. I'm a big believer in keeping it shut until
I agree.
Before
I do that too. Yeah.
But yeah. I do have the interest in more entrepreneurial desires for sure.
I love to hear that. One of my dearest friends is a guy called Alex Icon, who's you know him?
Alex Armuzzi or something?
No, different guy.
Wrong one.
It's fine.
Wait, Icon. That's
Alex
his last
Icon.
name.
His last name's Icon. Ikonn.
Oh, okay.
He's a really cool guy, and he's a serial entrepreneur, but also a very mindful and supportive friend. And one night we were having dinner in London, and I was 2 years into my rosé business that I started with a friend. And the rosé was doing great. And he's asking me how it's going, and I was like, yeah, it's doing great. And he says, I wonder, how does it feel to run a business that you don't actually use, you're not a customer of? Because I don't drink. I have a rosé wine business. Yeah. Like, it's pretty cool, but I think a lot of people start and run businesses like that. He said, I think you need to think about a business you have personal passion for and that you'd be a customer of. Like, no, I don't think I need to. He's like, trust me, there's nothing like working on a business that you personally love.
Yeah.
And he pointed at my wrists, and I was wearing like these $1 random bracelets that I'd pick up whenever I travel. And he's like, no matter what you wear, because you dress like your different characters, and sometimes I see you in a suit, you're always wearing these bracelets. You look passionate about those bracelets. Why don't you come up with a bracelet business? Yeah. And slowly but surely, I came up with the idea for Poubelle, and it took us a couple of years to launch. And I found the co-founder, and my co-founder, she's one of my childhood best friends. She created that extra time I was looking for. 'Cause I also thought, I was like, I don't have any more hours in the day. Like, I can't also do this. But finding the right people to do that 80% you were talking about added those hours for me.
Yeah.
And now for the first time, really, I have this business going that I'm super excited about and feel deeply passionate about as a consumer, which creates that excitement you're talking about. Yeah. So I totally see where your head's at, and you're doing all the right things by waiting for it to be perfectly timed with your gut instinct. Yeah. Because when your heart's there, it's a whole different game.
A whole different game. And that's amazing, by the way. That's also really cool that you should choose your childhood best friend. Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, all the stuff I've done is also with my friends as well, so I can relate to that for sure. And that's actually really smart. I guess in a way, I never thought about it that way. I think in my mind, I was like, it's gotta make me a lot of money.
Of course.
And because again, like you obviously, if you have a business, you don't want to, you want to make profit. But I was always stuck between like doing that and then also obviously doing something that has more like a net good. Like, it doesn't harm or affect or disrupt anything in any negative way, or whatever. So, sometimes I was like, maybe I just be an investor. Maybe I just put my money in this and that and whatever. Because at the end of the day, a big thing with me was like, I love what I do now. It's just figuring out another way to do like something else to, I guess, build capital in a sense that's, and so that's always been the things that I've been going back and forth about. And it's not that there's no shortage of ideas. It's just like like you mentioned that time. It's just a matter of being like, okay, you have to find a way to give yourself the time and the opportunity and something you're passionate about too. And I think the passion right now is in there, but eventually.
I mean, as a follower and fan of your content, I love your curation. So if you started some sort of curated by Wisdom page where I could buy the looks you recommend every month, looks for a tall guy, things that fit, even thrifted, like just mixing and matching, could be upcycled stuff. I'd be a customer.
It's funny you say that. There's a similar idea that's been in a jar somewhere, to be honest. So I mean, it's good to know though. Maybe I'll move that one up the pecking order.
I'd be a customer. But in a very Gstaad Guy fashion, in my videos, I often talk about what is à la poubelle, which is in the trash.
This is it.
And what's fantastique and great.
Of course.
Could be in the life you lead today, in the society you find yourself surrounded by, in your line of work. But I'd love one or two things from each category.
Okay. I would say, oh my God, this is actually interesting. Oh, okay. This is tricky because, so I try not to be super opinionative or like say things or like, trash or whatever. So whatever I do, in the spirit of making, content that everybody likes, whatever. But if there's one thing I really don't like, I really hate, I hate pretentious fashion people. That's alapel as fuck. Like I don't like, I swear, can I swear?
You can swear, it's fine.
Yeah, I fucking hate that.
Pretentious fashion people.
I like, you're not any better because you are wearing archive, blah, 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 from 2000 and blah, 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 or 19, but like literally enough. No, I hate that. I don't like that. If you care about it and you're passionate about it, that makes sense. That's good. That's fantastique. If you have passion and interest in, certain types, that's fantastique. But if you're pretentious about it or you feel like you're better than other people,
I agree. In all categories of life.
Categories of life.
No pretentiousness.
I think it's a fine line because it's totally so okay to really care and have a passion about things, even if they are more niche or more whatever. But I'll also say more specific in a design, like a more like clothing sense. If there's one thing I generally do not like, I don't like snakeskin print. That is to the trash with that.
À la poubelle.
À la poubelle. It'll be like lizard print, like especially it'll be like lime green snake print. I don't like that. I think that needs to go away sooner than later. But what I do like, there's a lot that I like. There's actually too much that I like. Dude, I don't know. I like, okay. I'll give one more alapel and then one more fantastique because they go in hand. Bad tailoring. I can't do it. I can't do with when I see you wearing your suit and like your shoulders are bulging out here because your suit is too tight, because it's not Poubelle to the slim, super tight suits, bad fitting suits, good tailoring is Fantastique.
I love that.
Yeah, I definitely butchered the saying. But
No, you did it perfectly. À la poubelle and Fantastique. That's great. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
thank you. This was Fantastique.
I love this episode. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. And I love hearing your story. Thank you so much for being so open, vulnerable, and sharing what you've shared. Thank you for being here.
Likewise.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Gstaad Guy podcast. If you're keen to learn more, please follow along by engaging with our social channels on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Merci beaucoup, à la prochaine, and a big hug from the Gstaad Guy.